Hello guys, you're welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you only how I cut the hip padding. I'll be showing you how I cut the hip padding. In this style you are watching on the screen right now, the dress is fully padded. The dress is fully padded. Can you see it? So the padding is just my normal hip is 36. After padding it, I have 39 right here, right now. So let's get started. Here is the pattern paper I'm going to be using for this tutorial. And this pattern paper, I already cut out the body measurement I'll be using. And I already had my sewing allowance to the paper. I had my sewing allowance to the paper. So now I'm just trying to cut out the back. I'm going to cut out the back piece because of the zip allowance at the back before I start to take out the measurements one after the other. So if today is the first time of watching my channel, you are welcome. And if you are a return subscriber, you are welcome as well. So if today is the first time of watching my channel, kindly subscribe to the channel so that you can see all my tutorials whenever I posted a new tutorial. Here is the front body of our pattern paper. So I just open it for you guys to see what we have here. So it's a little bit big because of the sewing allowance that I had at the part here. So the first thing I'm going to take now is I'll start taking the measurements. So from this part that I'm touching right now, that is from the edge, from the waist line, from here, I'll come down with 2 inches. Yes, I'll come down with 2 inches. Then I'm going to mark out. If possible, you can measure your client under the bum. You can measure her. And so from the waistline, I will come down with 7 inches from the waistline. This is the hip line. Yes, here is the hip line, the waistline, the hip line, and the under bum. I put it under bum if it's so if you don't measure your client, depending on your client's measurement, you can just come down with 8 inches. If the person is not that tall, you can come down with 8 inches from our hip line to our under bum. You can come down with 8 inches or 7 inches. Can you see that? You can come down with 8 inches or 7 inches for the under the bum line. I hope you are getting it. Now, the next thing you are going to do now is from the so I decide to mark out the normal body measurement, then also mark out the sewing allowance as well, so that you'll be able to understand what I'm doing one after the other. And this is our, like I said earlier, the under the bum, the hip line. So from the under the bum, we are going to come up with 1.5. From the waistline we come down with 2 inches. Then from under the bum, you come up with 1.5. Then after that, you are going to measure out your from this part, from this your hip line, you are going to measure out 6 inches. So when you measure it from the 6 inches you are measuring is from the normal measurement. So when you add your 2 inches sewing allowance to it, it will give you 8 inches. Then after you are done with that, place your French cuff. Place your French cuff as shown. Can you see the way I place the French cuff? Yes. Just place your French cuff just the way I place it. So everything I have here from the hip line to that place is 8. But when you measure it from your normal body measurement, it's going to give you 6. I hope you get that. Then this one, can you see where I start? This is just mark it out as shown. The exact way I do it. Just do it. Just follow the procedure. And at this edge, because this edge must not give you a sharp something, it must be curved like this. So just mark it out like this. Can you see? Then the next thing we are going to do now, make sure that you label it. Very important. So I call this place front 1. So when I open it to the back, I'll write front 2. That is the first thing. Before we now, let's first cut it out. Let's first cut it out. After we cut it out, we will now label it again as up and down. So I feel like, okay, let me label it once and for all. This is up, while this is down. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back side as well. But before that, let's cut it out. So when you open it, make sure that you write your up and down at the back. The reason why for this label is so that you will not make mistake and fix it wrong way. So by the time you number it, you'll not be able to make mistake. So this one that we cut now is for the front body. This is for the front body. So the next thing we are going to do now is to cut out the back body as well. So here is the pattern paper for the back. I'm just trying to mark out the zip allowance for the back one. I'm marking out the zip allowance, so I'm marking out 1 inches for the zip allowance. So that is that about that. So this is it. From the hip line, I measured the same 8 inches that we measured earlier for the front. Just mark it out just the same way, the same thing we mark out for the front. The only difference is that this one has, because of the zip allowance for the back bodies. So after you are done with that, so I'm just trying to label it. This is the under the bum. This is it. This is under the bum. So the next thing we are going to do now, just the same way we did earlier, at this part, mark out your 2 inches. At this part here, mark out your 1.5 as well. Mark out your 1.5 at this edge. So the only difference is that at the hip line, you know earlier we mark out plus the sewing allowance and stuff, we mark out 8 inches plus the sewing allowance, we mark out 8 inches. But in this sense now, from the zip allowance, that's where you're going to mark out your 2 inches. From the zip allowance, just the way I mark 2 inches. That's what we are going to do. Then after, can you see? Just trying to place my ruler very well. Can you see that? Then it's not fixed nicely. So at this part as well, it has to be curved. It has to be curved, so I have to make it curve. I have to make it curve. After doing it like this, make sure that it's curved like this. After that, let's cut it out. Just the same way we cut the other one. So everything we have here, let me mark. So everything we have here is 10, but after curving it, we have 9.5 or so at this part. So let's cut it out, and after we cut it out, make sure that you label it as well. Don't forget to label it. So the next thing we are going to do now is that we are going to start cutting all the paper on our foam. We are going to cut all the paper on our foam one after the other. So we are going to place the paper, our pattern paper, on the foam and start cutting it one after the other. Label your foam as well. Don't forget to label it. It's very, very important. Make sure that you label your foam as well so that you will not make mistake. So after you are done with that, the next thing we need to do is to start trimming your foam as shown. Just watch how I'm going to trim it. Watch how I'm going to trim it. One after the other. So you're going to trim everyone same way, like this. And here is our fabric. This is the skirt. This is the skirt. This is it. So I already added enough inches. I added 4 inches to the hip measurement. I added good 4 inches to the measurement because of the hip that we are going to be padding, so that it will have enough space. I added 4 inches. You can decide to add 3 inches, but here I had 4 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now is that I'm going to start cutting out the interfacing for the fabric here. I'm going to cut out the lining. One after the other. So this is what I'm going to have after I'm done sewing it, because I cut a little bit excess for the fabric for the turning. I want the Ankara to turn a little bit in. So here is the back body after I turn it with the Ankara. After I turn my lining with the Ankara, this is how it's going to look like. This is what I'm going to get after I turn it. So this is it right here. So I'll be showing you in details of how I sew it and how I'm going to go about the hip padding and stuff like that. Stay tuned and see you guys in the sewing tutorial. Thanks for watching the channel. So this is everything after I sew it. So I'll be showing you how I sew it in the sewing tutorial. See you guys. Bye.